Hello everyone and welcome back to the Rarpack. I believe last we met I was playing Agrarian Skies, but we have since gone back to the Rarpack. One of the main reasons why I stopped playing for a little bit was because I was having some issues with the game where things weren't working like they were supposed to be. I've found workarounds for them, but I haven't quite fixed everything. But what we're doing so far is something that I can at least handle. So we're going to work on taking care of that. One of the issues was that I was crashing the game when I tried to lay down some redstone conduit. And I found out that it was just because that single spot where I was trying to lay the wire just isn't working properly. Something is messed up or broken there, but it's not letting it run the way it's supposed to. And every time I try to set something there, it thinks that there's two entities trying to take it up at once, I think, and it's crashing on me. So we're going to try to get around that. For the time being, all I'm doing is, besides getting attacked by silverfish and more silverfish. Okay. Let me go ahead and just build myself a little way over here. Okey-doke. We should be almost where I need to be to get to the portal. And that has an easy way back home. There we go. Alright, we're just going to hop in here, because why not? And now that we're in here, jump up this way real quick. I know that technically it may have been faster to just walk back, but we're just going to go straight to where the portal is, end the credits, and then jump back into the central hub right next to the bed, and then I can show you what we have going on. So I've been doing a lot of work with laying the groundwork that we need to do here. You can see that I've swapped out our hardened energy conduit for redstone energy conduit. Instead of 800 redstone flux per tick, this is, I think, 10,000 redstone flux per tick. So essentially no way to prevent it from running. I set up a couple more lasers in here to make things a little bit quicker. And my big deal that I'm working on right now is... throw these in here and I can show you. I needed a lot of iron. And the reason I need a lot of iron is because we're making the builder for the ME chamber. I'll show you where it is and what we've done so far, and we should be able to finish it this episode without too much trouble. So I have this enclosure here, and it used to be empty if you remember before, but now we actually have this this box set up here. Now all the edges are these assembler containment walls, which are just gold, iron, and some Certus quartz. The heat vents are ME cable, iron bars, and well, these kind of iron bars, and then iron ingots. And then the inside, I have 6 crafting CPUs, and I'm also making 12 ME pattern providers. Now, what these guys do, is go in here, and then I have 2 ME heat vents to finish this up. Once I have the other 3 in there and I close this up, this will actually change into a large multi-block structure, and then we can run ME cable, which I can show you here, over to the rest of that. Now, everything else that I need was in here already, so I'm just going to go and throw this in here. Bam. Okay, so now we have our extra 3. We have the 2 of those, and I'm going to go ahead and get some ME cable because I should have some somewhere. Maybe in my little pack here? 33, that ought to be enough to get us there. So basically, as long as that thing is attached to the ME network in some way, which for us is going to be right in here, it will be set up so that it can automate some processes for us, which is the main thing that we want to be able to do. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to get it started up here. And then we should have enough here with 23. If we don't, I think all I need is just a little bit more glass, and I can actually make a few more. There we go. And 8 left ought to be enough. I don't know why I keep accidentally hitting these things other places. Okay. And let's just go ahead and get rid of that real quick. We can make sure that it connects the right way. And we go 1, 2, 3, and see each of these, all of these here are pattern, or spots for different patterns that you can place in here. So each of these holds what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So each of them holds 54 patterns, and we have 12 in there. So do the math, we got like 600 patterns available, roughly, a little bit more than that. So we can make 600 recipes automated inside here. And ba-boom. And now you can see we have 12 sheets of these patterns that we can set in here. But now the big thing that needs to happen, pick this up, set this over here, is it has to be connected. So now that that's connected, we can come over here, and okay, 400 redstone flux is still enough to keep this powered. But yeah, see, we have all these containment walls, all the vents, all the crafting CPUs, all the pattern providers, all of our 20 ME drives, the crafting terminal, and then we have our import buses and our ME cable in here, all taking up a certain amount of energy. So it uses this much at every tick. And luckily, this energy conduit here pumps in 400 redstone flux per tick, and it outputs 400 redstone flux per tick, which is apparently enough. I'm thinking it's 1 redstone flux is 2 Applied Energistics energy units per tick, so we should be safe all the way up to like 800 energy use per tick with this controller. And when that's no longer the case, we'll just cut out the middleman here and run this redstone flux straight through. But I was trying to save as many, redstone energy conduit, I was trying to save as many of those as possible, because they are a little bit more expensive to make. They need hardened glass, electrum, and lots of redstone. 2 redstone for every conduit piece. So since this is done, I can get rid of that guy. And then the next thing that we need to do in order to actually have this be useful is have the pattern encoder. So that is this guy right here, which is just a conversion matrix, iron ingots, and a crafting table, which is pretty easy to do. Now the conversion matrix, I think, needs this, which is the most difficult thing for us to get our hands on, but I should have, let's see, no silicon made, but we need Certus quartz, 1 of those, and redstone, which is 1 of those. Now the cool thing about that setup that we have over there is I will probably never need to make something bigger than that, because it will do any recipe that you can create in a crafting table. However, things like smelting something, that is done a different way and doesn't actually take up any of those slots in there. And a lot of the things, especially with GregTech, they all have to go through a machine of some kind. And everything that goes through a machine is set up with, let me think, ME, oh, I can't remember what it is. Let's see, it's import, there we go, the ME interface. And the interface isn't super expensive, it requires one of these conversion matrices. But this ME interface can be hooked up next to any of the machines, and it will input items when a crafting recipe requires something to be, say, smelted. So, for example, if we have iron dust, we set this up to take iron dust and put it into the machine next to it, and it should create iron ingots. So you put that next to a furnace, it creates the iron ingot, and then an export or an import bus, like one of these, will pull it back into the ME network so that you can use it for stuff. So that's pretty cool. Okay. So I think we have everything else that we need in here. We need iron. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We need fluix dust, which is here and here. And let's just say quartz. One of those, and conversion matrix. Okay. Now let's go back and get some iron. And a crafting table. Oh, which we have right here. Maybe I did that wrong. There we go. Okay, so this pattern provider. Here's how this works. And I'm pretty sure I can set this up anywhere. I don't think it actually has to be hooked up to anything. Yeah. Okay, so we need blank patterns in order to build this. So the blank pattern is this guy right here. Iron ingots, Certus quartz, glowstone, and glass blocks. So obviously iron is a little bit expensive right now, all things told. I actually went into the stronghold so that I could get some iron, but I'm going to eventually make something to automate the iron collection process and make it a little bit bigger. The big thing is, though, I need to automate the actual purification process all the way to iron ingots, and that's what's been causing the most difficulty. So we're going to start expanding that. Probably next episode I'll probably try to get something like that going, because iron is rapidly becoming our limiting factor in lots of cases. So then we put this here, here, and here. We need quartz, which we can put right here, and then I think it was glass. So we have enough for one here at least, right? Okay, so here's how these blank patterns work. Put that in there, right? Now, the cool thing is, we should be able to actually have it show up in here, but for some reason it's not. I believe there was a way once to actually have this set up in here so that you could pull it in, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. So we'll do it the old-fashioned way. Let me get some sand first. Melt that in the glass. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, and 1. Alright. So what happens is, since it didn't work, I'm not exactly sure why, but I'll figure that much out. What you can do is set up a recipe in that encoder. It doesn't use any of the recipe materials, but you can tell it that this is what this recipe is. That is what it makes, and encode it. Now, it says crafts 1 ME blank pattern with 2 glass, 3 glowstone, 1 Certus quartz, and 3 iron. So, let's go ahead and pump all of those items back in here real quick, along with all of this other junk that I don't really need anymore. Oh, I also got the microwave oven manual. I'm going to figure out what exactly that thing does, because I'm not super sure. But once I figure that out, that might be kind of fun to look at. Okay, so then this encoded pattern will go plop right in here. And see how it looks like a blank pattern? That's because that's the item that it makes. So see, if you pick it up, it actually changes back to looking like an encoded pattern. When it's in here, it looks like a blank pattern because that's what it crafts. So you know that you have a recipe for that item. And now, we know that the ME network has all the materials because we pumped it all in there. So you say blank, and then you say craft 1, and boom, we have another blank pattern. Pretty cool, right? So that will slowly but surely start automating everything that we need to do until basically I won't have to do anything, and then every once in a while I'll just check back in and I will have all the resources that I'll ever need. So that's pretty cool. So the next thing that I want to do, besides get more iron, which is just going horribly right now. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do with this. put that in here. And I'm going to actually move things around a little bit, because here's what I'd like to do. We should have iron seeds in here. And you'll remember before, we have massive amounts of glowstone and coal being created in these two blocks up here. Now, I'm using coal pretty frequently, but I have not been using glowstone nearly enough to warrant having a field this size of nothing but glowstone. So I think what I'm going to do is make it so that we can have other stuff in here as well. So now we have that, and this will slowly start making iron as well. And now as we get more iron, it'll be a little bit easier to actually make some of the things that we need from iron, and all of that will actually go straight back into the, oops, one too many. That'll go straight back into the ME network, and then it's just a matter of, let's make sure that we have all of our stuff going here. Now, the one main thing that I do need to figure out is you can set it up so that the terminal or the network will always build or always craft a certain item until you have a certain number of them. So we can set it up so that there's always like 2 stacks, or it's always trying to keep at least 2 stacks of iron on hand at all times. What that will mean is we give it a crafting recipe to make iron ore from the iron essence. Then it can automate that process so that it's always making iron ore as long as there's iron essence available. So what we can do is, I'm hoping there's enough iron essence out here so that we can do this. We have one new blank pattern. And we actually don't need all of them. We only need one just so we actually have the item. And we should just be able to click it in all 8 places for free. So let's go ahead and get our other blank pattern. Put this in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Encode. Okay. So now this knows how to make iron ore. And see how this actually looks like iron ore when it's in here, but if you take it out, it just looks like the encoded pattern. So that makes that. Now, it's a matter of, let's see if we can set it up to do that in here. So it doesn't look like it. Let's see, craftable, sort name. So there are lots of things in here, and some of these things I'm not used to using. Crafting monitor is what we already have here. Wireless access point, an encoder, controller, provider. It doesn't look like any of that stuff is what we're looking for. But I will figure that part out. That might be a little bit more difficult, but I know it can be done. It's just a matter of figuring out how to get it to work. The thing is, once we are there, that'll start making us iron a little bit more consistently so that we always have some. And then the next thing to do is, once all that iron ore is there, we can have it automatically pumped down into... grab these guys out of here real quick and put them in here so we have some extra space. Okay, we can have those run down here. And this is where things are going to start getting pretty intense. Because I've been working on the processing area a little bit. You'll see that we actually have these power lines running down and an ME network line running down, so that's actually pretty exciting that we've made it this far. And voila! This is the first part. I have 3 of our 4 total, the 4th being back up at the front base, of our industrial grinders. And you'll notice that Several of them are hooked up with extra bits and pieces down here, and some of them are set up here with nothing underneath. What's going to happen is these two are going to be fed water from the bottom through an aqueous accumulator. Pretty standard. This one here and this one here are going to be fed with sodium persulfate cells that are sodium persulfate fluid, and the other one is going to be fed with mercury. The reason for that is that, for one, sodium persulfate gives you 3 copper, or purified copper, for every copper ore instead of 2. And mercury will give you extra platinum and extra iridium from things like sheldonite ore and nickel ore, or ferrous ore, depending on what you actually grab. But that means that we will get tons of extras out of those two, and all of these guys can be running at the same time. Now, I need to have I need to have one regular transformer and one high voltage transformer into each of these so that they can all take 2048 power. Then I don't need a step down from this except for right here. I'm going to have a extreme voltage somewhere up in here to come down in and say, okay, everything that comes in here is only 2048. That way it doesn't actually make anything explode. And that's going to be the plan. And once that's in there, we can go ahead and put either 1 or 2 overclockers on everything so that nothing will explode. And then we'll be in good shape. You'll notice here that I have a couple little things that aren't really working correctly. That's because this is the area where I keep having things crash on me. So I'm not going to try to delete these, but just know that that's where we're having some issues and what I'm trying to fix. So we're going to get to that eventually. The other thing that I want to do is set up a line of pulverizers here so that I can have some things automated, like the idea of going through and crushing our stone into cobblestone, crushing the stone into glass, and then sending the glass to a furnace somewhere so that sending the sand into a furnace somewhere so that we can make it into glass. The other thing is I actually went ahead and built a sawmill down here. So this needs to be fed water as well, but that'll actually give us lots of extra wood and also wood pulp, which are 2 things that we can use for lots of different things. And then on this side over here, I'm probably going to have something else entirely. I haven't quite decided what yet, but it's going to be another processing stage, something that's kind of like preliminary. And then the next phase up here is going to be a little bit more in-depth processing. So it's going to be a lot of like ore processing, things like the electrolyzer, the centrifuge, things like that aren't really like fabrication, but they're not quite taking raw resources. They're taking partially processed materials and turning them into more refined materials for actual use. So that's what we're going to have there. And then as that happens, we're going to keep emptying this area out. And once this area is free of all of these machines that we have running, I'm going to change this thing into just another area, and all of these things around here are going to be charging stations and possibly a couple of like brewing stations, some enchanting areas, things like that, but they're all going to be specifically for improvement of items that we already have finished. So charging items, enchanting items, brewing potions, simple things like that, but it's going to kind of be like a central hub for you to kind of get your bearings, get started. And then once you're started, there's really no need for this floor anymore. It's just kind of like a lobby. And you go out into the city where we're going to have areas that are specifically for that. So that's what we got going on. Like I said, I am still having some bugs, and I'm going to figure out what is going on there because I honestly have no clue. But yeah, so we're getting there. Like I said, I have all the glowstone I need. I'll soon have all the iron that I need. Hopefully we're getting some more there. It doesn't look like any yet, but that's okay. We'll get some eventually. And then I need to get a process for automating sand, or automating glass rather, from sand. And then once I have that set up, we will be in good shape to start putting everything that we build into patterns. And then once all those things are into patterns, I can just go over here, click on this, tell it what I want it to build, tell it how many I want it to build, and it'll get to work on it without me having to run around with all the resources. That'll allow me to do a lot more exploration and a lot more building in the episodes instead of actually running around doing all of the heavy lifting and the meticulous work myself. But I will from time to time still show some of the cool things that we're doing. So that's the plan. And yeah, as you can see, things are starting to take shape. There's still some work that needs to be done, but I'm confident that we're getting close now. So once we have all of these things set up, I'll start running into some stuff. I'm going to do some other things that help us out with automation. And yeah, I think that's that. So since coming to night, we're going to go and draw to a close here. Oh, the other thing that I should probably show you, let me go ahead and nap first, that way I don't get a tactical amount there. I have the sheet pen with a second set of automated items over here that's going to help increase our productivity as far as our magical crops go. This is some liquid ender, which is kind of fun because it just throws me all over the place. Every time you jump into it, it's somewhere new. So I like, say, jump. Oop, and I fell right into a zombie. But at least that lights or turns off the fire. So he got out of here somehow. I'm not exactly sure. But the other thing that we have here is a composter. And the composter takes sewage and turns it into industrial fertilizer. And the sewage comes from the sewer being placed underneath animals. So sheep and cows produce the most sewage. So that's why I have those there. And then they all come into a composter, and as long as it has energy, which it doesn't right now, you can see, it turns it into the fertilizer. And the fertilizer will go into the fertilizer block, and that fertilizer block will actually insta-grow crops, or at least make them grow a little bit quicker. So we're going to have those set up. I don't know how well it actually works on magical crops, but we can use it for other things too, like if we have a wheat field and we're trying to get some stuff made. So we're going to get that stuff eventually. But I thought it was kind of cool that that's set up because now I have all the fertilizer that I'll ever need, and it's actually an automated and forever process as long as we have power to those things. So yeah, I think that's it now. Yeah, iron's going to be our big deal for next time, so we're going to get some iron. We're going to get some automated stuff set up here, and we're going to start getting the fabrication area set up. I'm going to build probably, I don't know, they're really cheap, so probably like a dozen pulverizers. That way they can perform a whole bunch of tasks, and since they do it very quickly, it doesn't really matter if they can only take in 1 or 2 items each. But then once I have that set up, that'll make things like getting coal dust, getting nether quartz dust, getting cobblestone, getting sand, getting dust, things like that. It'll automate all of those a lot better, so that I don't have to be running around doing all of it myself. So that's what we're looking at. Thank you for watching. I'll probably play another Agrarian Skies before I play another one of these, only because it could take some time before I get this to where I want it for another episode. But stay tuned for Agrarian Skies. We actually have the ME network set up on that one as well, just so I have somewhere to store all of the billions of resources that I'm getting now. So that's been pretty fun. Yeah, so for now, we're going to stop it here, and we'll probably pick up with Agrarian Skies next time. But watch out for the Rarpack as we get into some more cool stuff, and it'll probably be about time to start building the city, which I think is going to be pretty exciting, because I'm looking forward to actually putting some designs in instead of this very bland, albeit extremely symmetrical system that I have set up here. So, all right, thanks for watching. Bye.